Hey everyone, it's Lauren from It's the Kellys, and I just got back from doing something that I think is on everybody's bucket list. I went and saw the Northern Lights in Norway, and they were incredible. If you want to see the Northern Lights, then you have come to the right video, because this video is going to help you find the best tour, figure out the best time of the year to go, teach you what to expect, teach you how to dress, and how to take good photos. Now, I did 3 different tours for 3 different nights, and I learned so much. And that's why I wanted to make this video, to teach you guys everything that I learned so that you don't have to learn the hard way if you book this bucket list trip for yourself. I am going to put timestamps in the description so that if you want to jump ahead to a certain part of a video, you totally can. If you're new here, hi, I'm Lauren Kelly from It's the Kellys, and I am your girl for all things helping you travel. I travel often and pack well and want to help you do the same. And if you aren't subscribed, please click on that button down below. It would really help us out. And please comment down below. I respond to all of the comments and I absolutely love reading them. Okay, so what are the Northern Lights? Let's get scientific and nerdy for just a second. This is everything that I learned from my tour guides. I am no scientist by any means, but I do feel really smart when I explain to people what they are. So basically, this is the sun and this is the earth. The sun releases solar flares that come towards our earth, but earth has a magnetic field around it that forces them to head towards the south and the north pole. See them here from space? When electrons from these particles come in contact with oxygen, the color is green. When they come in contact with nitrogen, they become this pink and purplish color. These lights or phenomenons are known as aurora borealis up in the north and aurora australis in the south. As a tourist, you're never going to see the southern lights in Antarctica, because any tour that goes to Antarctica, like the one that I did a few years ago, is going to be in the Antarctic summer. And it has to be winter and dark when you see these lights. So therefore, we're going to focus on the Northern Lights today, which are the easiest to see, also known as aurora borealis. Now, the auroras are always there, all the time, but you can't ever see them unless it is dark outside, which up near the Arctic Circle means winter. We all know that winter in the Arctic Circle means pure darkness all the time. So when you go in late fall or early winter, you have a couple of hours of daylight and then a lot of time in the dark to be able to see them. In the summer, it's called the midnight sun, where it is sunny all the time and you will not have a chance to see them. So you're gonna be a little cold, or a lot cold. So this leads me to the 4 things that you need to see the Northern Lights. 1 is darkness, 2 is a clear sky, 3 is a good location with no light pollution, and the 4th is patience. The Northern Lights could be happening right above you, the most crazy it's ever been, but if it's a cloudy night, you're not going to see it. And it's very upsetting, especially when you've paid a lot of money for a tour, but a cloudy night, you can't really help it. It's Mother Nature. And believe me, it's happened. I went out 3 nights in a row and I only saw them once. There is also something called a KP index, which if you're anything like me, you're going to download all of these Northern Lights apps. But the KP index, if you're in the right place, doesn't really matter. According to my guide, the KP index is basically just how far south the auroras are actually going to go on the map. So if you have a KP index of 0 or 1, but you're in the Arctic Circle, that doesn't matter. The KP index every night that I went was around a 4 or a 5, but again, if it's a cloudy night, it doesn't matter. So you don't really have to pay attention to these numbers at all. So let's talk about the tours that I went on. All of the tours that I did will be linked in the description box down below if you are interested in booking these tours for yourself. In Tromso, there's a ton of amazing tours that you can do. Some are really big tours, some are really small tours, and they all have one thing in common. They want you to see the Northern Lights. Also, you can't really ask a company about their success rate with seeing the lights because, like I explained earlier, it's all about Mother Nature. You can be the best rated Northern Lights tour guide in all of Norway, but if it's a cloudy night, you're still not going to see them, and that's not their fault. The biggest difference in all the tours is going to be the amount of people and really what's included, and that will all be reflected in the price. So my first night was with a tour company called Greenlander, and this was probably one of my favorite tours that I did. There was a maximum of only 8 people, and everything was included. You got a polar suit, boots, a campfire with chairs, soup, and tea and hot chocolate and cookies. And if you needed a tripod, they gave you that as well. So this is probably one of the most expensive tours that you could do, but everything is included. And this is what I'm going to suggest for you to do on your very first night going to see the lights. Now, to compare, I did another tour with the company Chasing Lights, and they do offer the smaller tours as well, but I wanted to do a big tour on a big bus with a maximum of 50 people to really see if there's actual difference of paying half the price. Now, this one was going to be a lot more people, and it wasn't going to have a lot of inclusions. You weren't going to get a polar suit, you weren't going to get boots, you weren't going to get soup. All it really included was a fire to keep warm and some hot chocolate and the big comfortable bus. Now, both tours did include photos of the Northern Lights and photos of the Northern Lights with you in them that you would get in an email, whether it be that night or the next morning or the morning after that. If I were you, I would book a tour every single night. Now, there is one night that I went out and I chose to do a boat tour. And the idea of seeing them from a boat is really cool. However, you need not only a clear sky, but you need no light pollution, which means if you've got all these lights around you, you're not really going to be able to see a totally clear sky up above. And when you're on a boat, the boat's lights need to stay on. And so therefore, even though the Northern Lights were out there, they were really hard to photograph because of all the light pollution. Even though there was a sauna and a hot tub on the boat, and I really enjoyed that, I wouldn't recommend doing the boat tour. But I will link it down below just in case you guys want to go on it. Also, the last thing I'm going to mention about the tours that I think a lot of people don't realize is you might not get home until 4 a.m. So if you have a Northern Lights tour booked that evening, plan on sleeping in a little bit the next day. Now let's move on to talking about photography. I'm just gonna say this, if you have a DSLR camera, that is the most perfect thing that you can bring with you. However, if you don't know how to use it in manual mode and you don't understand the inner workings of a DSLR camera, either learn it before you go or don't bother packing it at all. These lights could happen for 3 hours or they could happen for 30 seconds. And if you don't know how to use your camera, you're going to be so frustrated and then you're going to miss the beautiful natural phenomenon that is the Northern Lights. With that being said, I brought a non-DSLR camera that was really just more of a really fancy point and shoot or a bridge camera. And as soon as my guide saw it, he said, "That's not gonna work. Just put it back in your bag and use your phone." I was like, "My phone? Seriously?" He's like, "Yeah, you have a good iPhone. You can totally do it." I had no idea that I could take Northern Lights photos with my iPhone. I have the iPhone 13 Pro, and he says that if you have an iPhone 12 or better, then that is going to be your best bet besides a DSLR camera to take pictures of the Northern Lights. The iPhone does have night mode, and all you have to do is set it to 10 seconds, put it on a little tripod or hold it very still, and you will get amazing pictures of the Northern Lights when they finally appear. If I ever did a Northern Lights tour again, I would forget all photography gear and just have my iPhone. That's it. Now, no matter what camera you use, whether it's a DSLR camera or your phone, I do recommend a tripod because that shutter has to be open for at least 10 seconds and the camera has to be very still. Also, because your hands are going to be frozen, I do suggest getting a little Bluetooth shutter clicker so that you can use that instead. I did not bring that with me with my iPhone, and I had to actually tap it with my bare finger, and I thought my hand was going to break off. It was so cold. You also need extra batteries or a portable charger because your phone or your camera will die faster, being that you are in sub-zero temperatures. So just to show everyone, these are pictures from my iPhone 13 Pro. And then these are the pictures from the professional guide. Okay, so now let's talk about staying warm, because to me, if you're cold, it's going to ruin the experience, and this part is very important. Now, both nights we ended up driving across the border about 30 minutes into Finland, and I was in the middle of a snowy field, and it was so windy that it was miserably cold. And then the second night, we were in the same spot, and it wasn't as windy, so it wasn't as cold, but it was drizzling, so I did actually get wet. So this is what I recommend for you to wear when you go on your Northern Lights tour. I definitely recommend having a good thermal layer, or even two, plus a wool sweater, plus waterproof and windproof pants, your waterproof or windproof jacket, and a pair of wool socks, maybe even two. Also, don't forget the winter boots, some good gloves, and also a good hat. Finally, I have one more thing to say, and this is kind of a little disclaimer that I think everybody really needs to know. And of course, this does vary based on the conditions, but your camera and every photo that you see of the Northern Lights is always going to look a lot better than what you can actually see with the naked eye. Absolutely none of my photos that I showed you guys earlier in the slideshows were altered by any means. That is exactly what my iPhone picked up, and all of the photographer's pictures were not photoshopped either. He actually showed us on the viewing screen of his camera as soon as he did it, just to make sure that we got the photo that we wanted. However, with the naked eye, they're always going to look almost a little bit grayish or whitish, almost like a cloud. However, on a really good, really clear, really active night, you will see the faint green or the faint purple. Here's an example I found online of the differences of the naked eye and what you would see in a camera. Sometimes they can look like a big horizontal streak. Sometimes they can look like a big scribble, like a toddler colored the sky. Sometimes they can look like curtains. But the best part is when they are dancing. You can literally just lay in the field and look up in the sky, and these lights are just actually dancing like they're doing some sort of sexy scarf dance or something. It is truly the most amazing thing that you can witness. But this is definitely a time that you just want to put your camera down and you just want to experience it, because it truly is something that you really want to witness in life, and just feel so ooey and gooey inside that you in fact saw the Northern Lights dancing in the sky. I hope that this was helpful. I really wish that there would have been a video like this when I was packing for the Northern Lights. I really didn't realize how cold it was going to be, and I really wish that I would have known that I could have taken pictures with my phone. If you guys have any more questions, please, please, please leave a comment. I will do my absolute best to answer for you. And again, the most important things to take away from this video is to book all the tours, dress super warm, have the correct camera gear, have a lot of patience, wait for the magic to happen, as long as it's on a clear night. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you later. Bye!